Number 5, Kiss Me Kate. There are good adaptations of Taming of the Shrew. 10 Things I Hate About You exists and is successful. However, Kiss Me Kate is not one of them. You cannot play that show straight. Those reprises of Kiss Me Kate and I'm Ashamed, and the actual singing of I'm Ashamed, Women Are So Simple song straight disgusts me. And it disgusts some men too, which is the men you should go for, ladies. But it's just not good. Musicals about musicals don't tend to be good. Also, like, the music, not that interesting. It'll get stuck in your head all day, but it's just the music isn't really that compelling. The only song I found tolerable in the show was Brush Up Your Shakespeare, and unfortunately the version I saw cut most of the body verses, so yeah, that's my luck. I see one production of this show, and it's not that great. I saw another production, and he said it was still terrible, so it just seems to be a bad musical all around, and yet people love it. People love it so. It was such a classic musical, such a great musical. Bullshit. Number 4, West Side Story. This has the whole classical problem. When you think of the stereotypical bad Broadway show, you think of, like, over-the-top dancing, overwrought plot. This has it. West Side Story has it. Dancing, while using ballet is innovative and really interesting because you don't see a lot of straight ballet much. It feels so over the top. Maybe this is a case of Seinfeld is unfunny. A lot of things have taken after it, but I've seen it several times. I own it on DVD, and it's not nearly as enjoyable as people make it out to be. You spend the whole second act waiting for everyone to die, and then only a handful of people do. That is the major problem with West Side Story, it is one of the many people who took Romeo and Juliet at face value when it's supposed to be a satire. Good freaking job. Number 3, Phantom of the Opera. When I first saw Phantom, I was led to the impression that I was going to swoon and fall in love with this masked man. And I bought it, because, I fell in love with Batman I don't know how many times, but then I saw Phantom, and I'm like, this dude is killing people. I'm supposed to love him? Actually, I think Raoul's the only sane man. Because that is the problem. Everyone loves the Phantom. He's so deep and angsty, and no, he preyed on a young girl, probably gave her an Oedipus complex, or Oedipus-like complex, so kidnapped her at one point, was a really possessive stalker freak. Edward Cullen looked tame. Yet we're supposed to fall in love with him, although it could be the Edward Cullen paradox. And I always thought Raoul was the only sane man, which is apparently not what the fandom wants me to think. I think if it told the actual story the book Phantom of the Opera told, which I read after I saw the musical and the movie. I read the book, and in the book, you're not supposed to like the Phantom. You are, Raoul, he's not the best character, but you're still not supposed to like the Phantom. And a lot of people like the Phantom, and that's a major issue I have with that. Also, the fact that at every audition I have been to, someone sings something from Phantom of the Opera. Singing stuff from Phantom of the Opera is getting so old. Phantom needs to be, buried for 50 years. Unfortunately, it's getting a sequel. Shoot me now. Number 2, Spring Awakening. Spring Awakening. Okay, let's start with the major fact that the plot doesn't start moving until you're 3/4 of the way through Act 1. Every character, basically no matter how minor, gets a song. Mama Who Bore Me, good song, kind of necessary to the plot. My Junk, was that necessary? Dark I Know Well, it sort of talks about why Ilsa became a slut, but other than that, no, like, real bearing on the plot other than it gets Venla interested in S&M, which I don't know if was in the original play, but it felt really tacked on in the play, the whole S&M subplot. Like, my boyfriend and I came out of that show and we were like, what was up with that random S&M interlude during the end of Act 1? Bitch of Living, fun song, completely necessary. Like, I could understand, like, giving Venla, Melchior, and maybe Moritz a song. Did everyone else need a song too if those three barely deserved one? I don't know. Like, the second act is much tighter because it actually focuses more on plot. But even then, it's like it's not what people crack it up to be. The music is better than the plot, which is not a bad thing. And I do enjoy the music. I listen to my soundtrack quite frequently. But I don't know, I can't enjoy Spring Awakening that much because it's kind of random. Tries to be uber modern, but not all at the same time. Also, Spring Awakening has the same problem Rent has. Ooh, it's taking on sex. That's so original. No, it's not. Everyone talks like sex is the forbidden fruit. No. Talking about sex being the forbidden fruit is old. Like, everything, you know, you want something popular, throw sex in. I could get, like, 20,000 more views, like, if there was more sex in this video. And finally, Wicked. Wicked. The big numero uno. Why Wicked? Firstly, it's got that same overplay thing. Everyone loves Wicked. Everyone. I don't know why. Yeah, I've got a case of it's popular now, it sucks. But Wicked is not all it's cracked up to be. Elphaba's tale is completely archetypal. I mean, you can kind of see, like, hero's journey mixed in with, like, the common traits of tragedy. But yet, it doesn't pretend like it's following those conventions. The loser girl ends up with the attractive guy at the end. What part of that is original? You know, what part of that was awe-inspiring? You know, songs are, you know, sort of interesting and you have to think about, well, how would they work in this context? But at the same time, I heard a girl sing Popular at face value, like, celebrating how you need to be popular, and I kind of died a little inside. There is all you need. But that's all Wicked needed. That's all it needed to succeed. My problem is I read the book, and what happened to Glinda's character makes you want to cry. Glinda was a very different character than the one Kristen Chenoweth helped produce. The other thing about Wicked, there are lots of things about Wicked. This is a criticism I had in the book, and I still have in the musical. In the book, the political messages were hitting you on the head. You want to talk about anvils falling out of the sky and whacking you in the head, flattening you like Wile E. Coyote. The book had it. The ones in the play were slightly lighter and came at less frequency. But that still didn't mean anvils were falling and hitting you square in the head. That is not fun. I mean, occasionally some anvils need to be dropped. But I don't think Wicked tried to, you know, be subtle. Because sometimes subtlety is good. And sometimes being over the top is good, but it didn't work with that either. #1 overrated musicals of my top 10 overrated musicals.